Meeting to order. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you for being here. We are just out of closed session. I have a report out from closed session. The board completed the evaluation of Chancellor Yong. The board is very pleased with his performance and notes that he has not only met but exceeded the goals and expectations that the board has set for him. The board has outlined a new evaluation process for the Chancellor, which will be implemented for the Chancellor's next evaluation. The board also reviewed the Chancellor's goals for 2019-20, and the board has approved the new goals. This completes the report out from closed session. Okay, 4.3, approval of minutes of the July 10th, 2019 Board of Special Meeting and Regular Meeting.
If there's no additions or corrections, I'll move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
I do have a correction.
Okay,
On page 22, 6.1.5, line 5, it refers to Hobbs and Starfish. It should read Hobson Starfish.
that was autocorrect. Okay,
With those corrections, I'll move to accept the minutes.
and who made the second? I couldn't tell. Nancy? Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we are now up to the public comments section, and I believe we do have some public comments. Before we do, I just want to read a reminder. We appreciate comments from the public, but the Brown Act does not allow us to discuss or take action on items that are not on the agenda. The most we can do in response to public comments is ask for clarification. So I just want to say that in advance. And I think I have 3 people here. So the first one is Richard, I can't read the writing, Pementer. Yeah, right up here, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir. Just calling up, checking in. We came from up the hill. We're at Columbia College, and I'm an instructor there. We actually have extension classes up in Twainhart, and not know if you're familiar with Twainhart, but it's 13 miles further up east of Sonora, and it's somewhat of a burden to sometimes go down to the college from Twainhart, especially during the weather time of the year. But most of the people there can accommodate that. But what's happened now, we have it seems to be that the school is going more towards student activities, and the adult education seems to be going by the wayside. We've had a class in Twainhart for 20 years through the college, and morning and afternoon that has never not been filled, and it's going to be canceled. And I have 40-something signatures here with people up there who are paying for the bonds and paying taxes. They're all property owners, and we would like to have that one particular item, at least up there in our area, in Twainhart, to accommodate those people who will not come down to the college to take those classes. So I have some friends here that are also going to make some comments, but I would just
Roxanne? Hello? Thank you. And then I have Sherrod? How do you pronounce it? Okay, thank you. I couldn't read it again. Sorry. Mhm. Thank you.
She didn't work for me directly, but Rob did. There was never a dull moment with Rob in my life. So thank you. I will be honored to tell him. Thank you. Tell him I said hi.
All right. If we have no other public comments, then we will move on to the board committee reports, and I do want to thank you again for coming forward, all of you. Okay, so we are at the board, gee, Darren, you're here. Board Finance Committee report.
Yes. So the Board Finance Committee met, and again, just on the record, this is the second meeting where this microphone is out, so I can't get it to work. So just, I have a good enough voice, I think everybody can hear me. But so the Board Finance Committee met on August the 12th, this past Monday. In attendance was myself, Trustee Rojas, and Trustee Aguilar. So we, thought I was going to get away from it. Anyway, sorry about that. We met, and the two items that we focused on were the 18-19 budget. So we got an overview of where that ended up. And I want to thank Susan and Sarah and the finance staff for the very deep dive into the 18-19 budget. And then really more importantly, we had a discussion about the 19-20 budget, where we stand with the new student-centered funding formula and how that came out. We're hopeful that we're going to come out a little more positive down the road. But I would just like to tell everyone that I think the conversations started at that meeting, but there's going to be more conversations that are going to take place and need to take place district-wide, given the fact that we have challenges, it appears, with the student-centered funding formula. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the Board Policy Committee report with Chair Andy Martini.
Thank you. The Board Policy and Procedure Committee met on Monday, and we had the largest audience or group participants that we've ever had. And we had a meeting with our attorney, who has finally given us a draft due process policy and a procedure. We went through that in the meeting. We tried, those of us who are on the committee and those others who were present offered some tweaks. We discussed that, and the attorney is going to double check, because the law has all these things you have to check on. But hopefully next month we may be, I've said this before, but hopefully we're very close to finally adopting a due process policy for this district that would offer more fairness and uniformity for everyone who's a part of this district, which has been a long time goal. So it's positive. We're not there yet, but we're certainly moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, so we are up to 6.1, which is a presentation on MJC's extended opportunity programs. Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Duarte, and I'm the interim dean of counseling, and I'm the assistant director for EOPS. So my presentation today has a couple things I want to go into. I want to give you a little history of EOPS. We're celebrating 50 years of service this year, and I want to get the support of the board that we could maybe declare September the EOPS month. I have a young lady here who's going to share some her experience in EOPS and what she's benefited from, how she's benefited from the program. Okay, if I sound a little nervous, I'm not nervous about presenting. I don't get intimidated too easy, but I just want to make sure that I do a good job of representing and doing justice to a program that I love and that I've been doing since 1996. Okay, so I was told I could do a PowerPoint presentation. This is not working.
That's not the first time it hasn't worked.
They didn't have this when I first started. So here we go. So
So it's not just a male, female program. And it has a separate funding, and it has a separate goals and objectives. The other program we have is college readiness. And college readiness is designed specifically for high school students that have just graduated. And we're trying to immerse them into the college life and get them acclimated to what's going to happen when they come in the fall. And I've seen brochures from the 1970s. So it's been at MJC for many, many years. Then we have the Bridge program. And the Bridge program was funded in 2006 by the Walter Johnson Foundation. And they pretty much just hooked us, meaning they gave us the money to start us up, and then left us alone. So now EOPS funds this program. And this program is unique to NJC. Other schools don't have the Bridge program. And the Bridge program focuses on kids coming right out of continuation schools, adult ed. We take the most at-risk students in this program. And it's pretty militant, so to speak, that everything is structured for them. Everything is mandatory. Mandatory tutoring, mandatory attendance, mandatory participation. They stay in a cluster of courses together. And we define discipline, desire, and dedication as the three pillars that we teach this program from. And I'll share some statistics about some of these programs. And then the last two is that we kind of started two mentoring efforts that have been established to provide additional services for some students, not all students. And I'll share those in a minute. I'll show you what Bridge did in the spring 2019. There was 24 students, 20 finished the program, and 4 couldn't finish or couldn't handle the structure of the program, or could have had some personal issues, and that's why they didn't finish. So that's about 83% passing rate. The Bridge program has 4 courses: study skills, reading, health, and math 10. And as you can see, pretty much 95% pass the 3 courses, and it's 85% for math. So that's probably, I would say, one of the highest passing rates that most students have in these courses. We have not changed for the coming year. We're no longer going to be teaching the math 10. We're going to be including sociology 101 for this group. I'll show you a little bit about historically how our program has grown. 2013, 2014, we started with 879, and it's been growing ever since. Again, it's about a 10% increase from the previous year. And notice I don't have this year's information because we're having trouble getting that data, and I didn't want to present something that's not accurate. If you look at our EOPS students by GPA, our students do very, very well academically. And I think that I'll show you a slide where the structure helps our students stay focused. We have a lot of students that are having 4.0. And in the fall semester, for whatever reason, the fall semester 2017 and the spring, 87% of them had a 2.0. So it's almost the same percentage. So 87% of our students are passing and passing to 2.0 or better. This is another interesting. I said I've been here since 93, and we had one student take 30 units and pass all of the courses. Never seen anybody. I don't know that another student on campus had ever taken 30 units in one semester. In fact, they probably took more units than I did in 2 semesters. But that's a whole different story. If you look at our contacts, our program mandates that our students see a counselor 3 times. And if you look at the zero contact, zero CC, we had 54 students who didn't make their appointments. So those students were dismissed from the semester. 41% of those students fell below 2.0. Then the next one is one contact, and you'll see there were 74 students, and 30% fell below 2.0. Then 2 appointments, 29 students fell below 2.0. And then students who made the 3 appointments, only 9% fell below 2.0 GPA. So my conclusion is that the compliance equals student success. As long as they make contact with the counselors and we guide them, keep them guided, they do pretty well. I kind of tease my students when I sit to the counseling. I tell them, I'm like when you go bowling and people put the rails up, okay, we kind of keep you in the middle. So if you suck at bowling, we'll put the rails up, and so that's what we did. That's what we do in EOPS. Keep them in the middle. This is your target. Don't take classes you don't need. Stay on task. I have a couple more slides and I'm done. The EOPS male impact numbers. I compared them to MJC, and I got this from Data Mart. And I'll share a little bit about, after I started doing a little bit more administrative, I missed the contact that I had with students. So I started a mentoring program for some young ladies that were programmed. And this is what we came up with, and we have a pledge that they have to read every time we meet. We meet individually with me and then as a group with me. And this pledge says, I pledge allegiance to myself and all that I want to be, and to welcome all the changes that will be good for me. If I ever experience darkness or when my stars aren't bright, I will use my culture to provide me light. If in my journey I should ever shed tears, I will look for encouragement from all of my peers. So today I pledge to stay true and strong, to never ever think of quitting when things go wrong. I make a promise to me, to all, and to you that I will keep believing in me and to always stay true. And I call this program Tacos and Talk. And the T is for transformation, the A is for awareness, the C is for culture, the O is for opportunity, and the S is for support. And we teach from those principles to make sure that they stay positive, because their journey is anything like mine. If your parents don't understand what you're going through, they'll need the support. And so with that, I want you to hear from this wonderful young lady that's going to share her experience in EOPS. You got it. You have an hour.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Any questions?
I, I think you just found your EOPS ambassador. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So careful. I think you may have a job. Uh, Thank you. I think your dedication clearly on the record tonight, that you're not only dedicated to the program, but to the students and their success. As a board member, these are the stories that I know I want to hear, and I think the rest of the board wants to hear, because we then get to see programs like this and how they're benefiting the students and helping them with their community college goals. And I also want it on the record, you know, we need to recognize when students come into our institution that have overcome huge personal obstacles. And having sat on the Stanislaus County CASA board, were you a CASA youth? Did you have an advocate? Okay. So for those of you that don't know, that's court-appointed special advocate. Most counties have them. It's individuals who volunteer their time that are paired with a foster youth and assist them and navigate them through the foster program and sit with them through court and any other issues they may have, acting as really as a mentor. But to overcome everything you've been through, and to come here tonight and give that presentation and share with us your journey, I just want to say congratulations. So thank you very much.
Nancy?
Two things. I'd like to say congratulations, and we look forward to in April being able to shake your hand when you receive your diploma. I was a foster parent and used to encourage my students to get involved in the EOPS. So my question for you, Hector, is what percentage of students do you have in the EOPS that are former foster youth?
It's not a test.
Just wondering.
Have you worked with Steve Ashman with, okay,
Mhm.
good. Yeah, but he's the executive director of the local CASA. So, you know, okay,
Mhm.
continue to work with him, because I know there's a lot of foster youth that would like to have the same stories and successes that Kristen had. So thank you.
Just a comment. I've known Hector for some time now, and when I first came on the board, I became involved with the TRIO program and the Bridge program when Brian Marks was in charge of the program, and I've seen it grow tremendously. And I've always encouraged in my area students that I felt might fall through the cracks. I'd always recommend them to either go to the Bridge program or the TRIO program. And most of those kids were successful in accomplishing the same accomplishments that you have. So I'm really proud of those two programs, EOPS and TRIO.
Well, we will be sending out an invitation for September 25th, I believe, the 26th is a Friday. I'll share with you real quick. There's 30 plus folks that work on campus that were former EOPS. So EOPS has helped a lot of folks going to, we have doctors that are EOPS. We have our dean, one of our deans was a former EOPS. So we want to highlight how EOPS has been instrumental in empowering people to get ahead. And so we'll be sending an invitation. I hope you guys can all make it.
Thank you.
Now, if the board wants to pay for mariachi music, let me know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We, we would, but we have one more comment too.
Yeah. I'm also part of EOPS. I found other resources that were very helpful from the program. For instance, they have a lending library for like textbooks, calculators, anything you need. They'll lend them out to you as long as you return them. They also have book vouchers At Columbia College, they have like a $300 book voucher for textbooks. That helps out a lot. And then they also have great counseling support. Like, they've affected many students and helped them along their career paths, and I find that invaluable as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hector.
Thank you. Okay, so next up is Dr. Schrader with the grant activity update.
I have a question, and it's going to be probably too simplistic, but just in general, does the grants office, do you look for grants and then notify particular departments at the college, hey, there's a grant you might be interested in? Or do people say, hey, we need a grant, and contact you, say, find us a grant that matches this? How does it work? Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. So next up, we have 6.3, the Great Valley Nature Lab presentation. Welcome.
to collect the rocks of the Sierra Nevada foothills and the coast ranges and their valley floor. And we've been able to arrange them much the way that they look in their native habitat. And these tombstone rocks are one of the most striking that you'll see. This is seafloor. This is mud that gathered on the seafloor 200 million years ago, and they were compressed and they were mashed into the edge of the continent and turned on end and then eroded. And that's such an incredible story. And it's right here in our backyard. We also have evidence of, well, you've heard of Yellowstone and the supervolcano that's going to destroy us all if you read the right newspapers. We've had that here. Some of the rocks out here are volcanic ash deposits from eruptions that happened in Nevada. And those eruptions were so huge that the ash came rolling over the Sierra Nevada and settled right here in our valley. And so we have rocks like that tell that story. And we have lava flows that came down from near Baker Station and came all the way down to Knight's Ferry and they followed a riverbed. And so you can see in the picture here that there's a lava flow that looks like a river. And as the mountains rose, all of the surrounding land was eroded away, leaving behind this mesa, this table mountain. And we have our own little example of that now in our nature area of those rocks, the same ones that have the lichens and the moss that Elizabeth was mentioning. But the other incredible adventure of our valley, the incredible story of our valley, is the fossils. Something that I've been trying to drive home with all of my students, literally from the first day, is the rich fossil heritage of our valley. The first dinosaur fossil ever found in California was found in this district by a 17-year-old kid from Justine. The dinosaur that's going to be put up in the area is a fair approximation of the dinosaur that he found back in 1937. But that was here in our own valley. And we've had one picture. We've also had incredible creatures, mosasaurs that you might know from Jurassic Park if you saw the Jurassic World. If you saw the most recent movie, the thing that ate everything else. It was a mosasaur, and someone found a mosasaur right here in our valley. And so the outdoor ed area, with the mock paleontology day, and the dinosaur that we're going to have, and the rocks, tells this incredible story of where we live. And it's a wonderful, wonderful gift for the children of our valley that they're going to find this out as a result of coming to the Great Valley Museum and being able to see these and to literally see what it's like to be a paleontologist and scraping away at the dirt and finding a treasure underneath. You know, how many of you, as a kid, tried to find fossils in your backyard? That's something that could happen here. And I can say that literally because, and just in closing for my part, I was going to bring a section of woolly mammoth tusk that was found along the Tuolumne River a few years ago. It's just I got out the door and realized there's 140 trees and there's a long walk. You'll have to come to my lab if you want to see it, but it was here. You literally could dig in your backyard and find evidence of these incredible creatures that used to live here. And so I wanted to thank you and for your support, because this is something we've waited for almost 4 decades to do and to have, and we're so thrilled to finally have that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm going to talk briefly, really quick, about how the Great Valley Museum plans to use this Great Valley Nature Lab. I do want to say that current members of the museum, as well as the Great Valley Museum Foundation board members, are extremely excited, and you can hear the excitement with Gary and Liz, what we have here for us, along with the wonderful uses for our classes here
No, but I can understand the passion by just listening to you present, make your presentation. And I'm positive that you're going to just spur that on to your students. And what amazed me about the whole thing, everything amazed me about it, but the compaction that was done on the dirt paths. I've seen a lot of places where they have dirt paths around their, not only in their home gardens, but in other public places. And the compaction that you showed on that nature trails that you have in there, it was really amazing. I would have thought that when it rained, it was going to really get muddy there, but the sprinklers had come on before, and it didn't even affect that compaction of the dirt. So I think it's going to be a great thing for the college.
Yes.
So, once again, great. My thanks to all of you. You've done a great job. Uh, the dean, the faculty, Arnold, great support from the community with the Great Valley Museum Foundation. I was happy to see the chancellor and the board of trustees out there. Um, for me, you make me think of what a geek I am, but I try to keep it under control. Going out there, you had the two perfect faculty for me. My last research project about 10 years ago was on top of an active volcano. So you spurred that interest back. And of course, I'm a plant person, so I had a nice conversation with Elizabeth about carnivorous plants. She showed me how the little pitcher plant going, and then we had a conversation about the voodoo lily. So you know what type of geeks plant people are. The voodoo lily, it's a beautiful plant, but it only blooms about every 10 years, and it only blooms for about 24 or 48 hours, and it attracts botanists and plant people from around the world to see this bloom. And what makes it especially interesting is it smells like rotting meat. And so then you know what type of people that plant it. I need to go smell something that's been in my refrigerator too long. But I'm looking forward to everything. And Laura, just one quick story. When you gave me a tour of the science building in the museum, we were up on the top deck looking down, and you wanted to make sure that I knew that what was being developed down below wasn't a miniature golf course. It definitely wasn't. So congratulations, all of you. Job well done.
Yeah, I think it's great. The fact that what you said, Gary, was that students are going to be able to come in and dig. And it made me think back when I was a kid. My father had a degree in geology. You would have thought he would have supported me, but he told me to stop making holes in the backyard. So I think it's going to be great. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to think that we're a geek-friendly institution too, right? Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. It was great to be there this morning. All right, I believe we're up to 6.4, our association reports. Do we have Michaela here? Hello?
ASMJC has worked hard over the summer on training, and I can confidently report that we are ready to serve our students as the fall semester approaches. We just returned from our leadership retreat, where we were able to grow strong bonds and, and build the foundation that we need to have a successful year. On August 19th, ASMJC will officially be sworn in. On August 26th through the 28th, we will have our welcoming event, where we strive to make our presence known on campus to our students. We will help guide and answer any questions along the way, along with embracing our school spirit and enjoying the start or continuance of each and every one of our students' journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to just give you a thank you. Since our last meeting, you told us at our last meeting, but the summer sonata occurred, and it was just wonderful to have all of the help from ASMJC, and that's really important to the foundation, so thank you.
Okay, is Francisca here? No? Okay. No report. Okay. And next up, we have YFA. Hello, Shelley.
I think you were in Hawaii, right? Yeah. Too. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, so CSCA, Tiffany? Evening? Not really, but thank you. Mhm. Mhm. Thank you very much. All right. And our faculty liaison, Alan McKissick.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. I'll be mentioning some points made by Shelley. My perspective is from the three faculty organizations. I asked Shelley earlier that whether or not she was concerned that some of our remarks might be redundant, and she said, "Don't be concerned. Some things bear repeating." Since our last meeting, I had the pleasure of attending the Board Policy Committee meeting this Monday. Shelley referenced that. The committee devoted the entire meeting to the topic of due process. The committee's commitment to creating excellent due process policy and procedures in our district is nothing new. What was remarkable was the collection of leaders in our district around the table representing fiscal affairs, HR, security, Title IX administration, student services, CSEA, YFA, among others. The atmosphere was positive and constructive throughout, for which the participants, and especially Chancellor Yong, should be commended. The meeting not only moved the ball down the field, but there was really a sense of teamwork. And after conferring with colleagues, I wish to extend additional thanks. I know the board and the chancellor are striving to cultivate the best possible relationships in the service to our students. So I'm going to mention a couple of things that I think were morale boosts. One, Shelley referenced, was accomplished by the end of last semester, the Class Capacity Initiative, which emanated from the contract settlement. When people saw it, they thought, oh my, is this going to be another great big wrinkle in our progress? However, at first it seemed like a logistically overwhelming and potentially controversial effort to review and agree upon the appropriate size for each of our courses. It was brought in on time with what is broadly recognized as a good resolution. Another truly logistical daunting task, Shelley referenced this, was accomplished by our payroll department. The faculty salary adjustments, retroactive and otherwise, were implemented. I know there's still a bit to do, but largely accomplished. And I believe that may have heightened faculty morale even more than the class size initiative resolution. As always, please do not hesitate to contact me if I can be helpful or with inquiries. As stated before, what I don't know, I will find out who to ask. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Next up, we have the Academic Senate activity reports. And I'm not sure who is here. Pam, you're here. Is Chad here or no? Okay.
Chad sent some remarks for me to deliver.
To read later? Okay, let's have Pam go.
Okay.
Oh,
if
okay.
that pleases the board.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before I begin, Chad, last time I mentioned Chad was getting spinal surgery, and there was a collective gasp from the room. So I've been in contact with him, and I said, Chad, I read exactly your remarks, and there was a gasp. So assuming that your progress toward recovery is good, you ought to say something about that, because it was a cliffhanger. So I'll start by, he has a paragraph for that, and then the remarks he would have delivered if he could have been here tonight to do so. Standing at the lectern would not be a problem for him, but there are issues for a while as he recovers with how long he can sit down and so on and so forth. So he's not quite there yet, but much recovered. So to begin his remarks, first of all, I'd like to begin by thanking everyone for their warm concern and helping hands as I've struggled with spinal root nerve compression and unexpected emergency surgery this summer. I'm on the mend and feeling stronger each day. The surgeon has cleared me to return to full duties early next month. I look forward to giving the September board report in person, but until then, I've asked Alan McKissick, faculty representative to the board, to share this brief introductory report with you all. Best wishes, Chad Redwing, Academic Senate President of MJC. All right. As we prepare for the upcoming semester, it seems appropriate to begin the year with a brief reflection on learning itself, a topic of hot debate going all the way back to Plato's Republic. There are many ideas out there about the means and ends of a good education. For instance, thousands of years after Plato, John Dewey offered his own educational credo, an essay entitled My Pedagogic Creed. In this 1897 statement of beliefs, Dewey writes, I believe that much of the present education fails because it neglects the fundamental principle of the school as a form of community life. Given our mission at the community college, this notion of community-based learning seems right on target. Of course, Dewey also offered less popular ideas about education. That's one of the challenges. Education is many different things to many different people across various time periods, forms of government, and cultures. This is also one of the challenges the Academic Senate faces as we embark on an exciting new initiative this fall semester as a result of Resolution S19A carried at the April 4th Senate meeting. This faculty resolution, passed unanimously, calls for, quote, a robust transformation of institutional culture at all levels to adequately redesign programs and processes, pedagogy, and strengthen student supports. And it offers support for the creation of a teaching and learning center. Given our dedication to academic and professional matters, the Academic Senate looks forward to working with other constituency groups to pursue such a place dedicated to doing our jobs with excellence. In order to begin to foster faculty conversations this semester on what might be some of the emphasis of a Center for Teaching and Learning, there is a series of undergraduate education workshops being offered to all full-time and part-time faculty. And I think I could speak for Chad when he says other people, that he would say others are definitely welcome. As a matter of fact, each of the trustees and our chancellor should have a handout. You can recognize it by the colorful pyramid model on the left, which describes the various workshops scheduled for the semester. There's a stack of them on the table by the exit. If there's not enough and you want one, let me know. These workshops support collaborative curricular development across traditional academic disciplines and focus on instructional skills, learning models, and innovative pedagogies with narrow equity gaps, help overcome educational barriers, and motivate students to succeed through self-agency. Yccd board members are cordially invited, there it is, to work alongside MJC faculty in these workshops as we explore our own beliefs and experiences regarding the best educational theories and practices, and also work together to fulfill our college mission and support excellence in teaching and learning informed by the latest scholarship. Perhaps Dewey's rather profound definition of educator is a good place to end. He writes, I believe that every teacher should realize the dignity of his calling, that he is a social servant set apart for the maintenance of proper social order and the securing of the right social growth. In this spirit, the MJC Academic Senate looks forward to an academic year of public service as we promote the growth of those we serve. We also look forward to working collaboratively with the Yccd board to assure the dignity and quality of a public education, support the vibrancy of our community of learners, and focus on the success of our students. That concludes Chad's remarks. I will tell him he had to compete with geology, zoology, botany in particular, but it became apparent the board loves a good John Dewey quote.
Thank you
Thank
very much. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much, Pam. Wow. Thank you very much. Any questions? Nope. Nope, but thank you. Okay, I think we have LTAC up next. Hi, Jillian.
I'm glad you understand that, Dr.
No? I love the idea of introducing a different dean or leader every month. That's terrific. Thank you.
And I would just like to add that with Laura, you and I have had multiple conversations, and what I enjoy is that you make science interesting and easy for people like me. So thank you for that, and I look forward to you working with the chancellor and others on getting the E back in your department. How's that? All right.
Speaking as an English teacher, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. So we're up to the president's report, starting with Dr. B.
Good evening. Is the time up? That's my alarm.
You're done.
Thank you for your report.
Much appreciated, Mr. Geek.
Yeah,
We are at the cusp of fall semester. What an exciting time. And when I look at the student profile who might be coming to us this time, they were born in the last 20 years or so. Many of them uh, have been attached to the computer or an electronic screen for about 6 hours of the day, if not more. In their brief, short life, they have seen a severe depression. They have always grown up in a very safety oriented or safety threatened environment. If you think about it, those who were born in late 90s or 2000 onwards, they have grown up with these threats of terrorism, shootings, and so on and so forth, which many of us did not witness. So, whichever way we want to look at them, their experience is massive. And we have to recognize that and see how we can have strategies so that we can educate them appropriately. At the same time, when you look at their reports, those of us who were celebrating our life in the 70s and 80s, these kids don't drink as much as we used to. Binge drinking is less, heavy partying is less. So those are all interesting facts and factoids about our students, and we can definitely engage them in the campus community as we know more about them. Fall enrollment is going on at expected rate at Columbia. We are giving a push in this last couple of weeks to ramp up the numbers. We do see expect to see some growth in the new CCAP agreements as well as in Sierra Conservation Center. We are making some new forays in their yards out there so we can educate some of the inmates out there. A couple of days back, I received a letter from one of the inmates. And when I read that and I shared that with Dr. Sanders, we were both, wow, that's a brilliantly, nicely written letter talking about our program, what he is learning, at the same time saying that exposing us to the life in the prison system to some degree. This student needs a course in order to graduate. And he's saying, I'm not trying to get only a bunch of courses. I really want to graduate. So we have an enrollment process. You say your priority is you have to show up on the time so you can enroll for the class. He said, on that day, I skipped breakfast so I can save that precious few minutes so I can get to the class. After skipping breakfast and running as fast as I can, I reach the class. I am not the first in line. Because in the prison system, the yards are opened or their blocks are opened one after another. And as luck would have it, he's in the last building to be opened. So although he tried his best, he cannot beat the systemic structures or barriers or whatever we may call it. And at the same time, this man is not complaining. He's talking about how we can improve the system, how he can reach to his dreams and come out and be rehabilitated. If we can do that, that's one more life saved. That's one more recidivism rate going down. And those are the kind of work that really we should aspire to do. We have engaged in a marketing campaign to improve awareness, generate leads, and build the Columbia College brand. As our high school population in our area continues to decline, we have to keep looking at newer areas, near avenues where we can get our students from. And that's a continuous struggle. We are hosting Tuolumne County Business Council meeting on our campus on August 21st, 2019. That's a couple of days from now. This meeting brings the Business Council members to the campus and helps us develop relationships with them. A couple of purposes. This year, definitely, I'll seek more of those partnerships with the folks who own business, probably can contribute to our funds. So that's a relationship building exercise. Other interesting part is, despite our small size, when we went for this apprenticeship conference statewide, when the bigger schools talk about couple of apprenticeship partnerships, we have 4 apprenticeship partners, which are very active and live. So we want to continue relationship building with our local business community so that we can develop more and more of those apprenticeship programs. Last year, if you remember, we won a $500,000 apprenticeship grant on forestry department. So we need people where we can engage our students and serve the community and build the relationships. It's exciting to be going to Baker Station. I remember last year when I started, 2 days into the job, and I was told that Baker Station, there's a place called Dardanelles that's on fire. And Brian gave me a very detailed insight as to how you go up Highway 108 and then drop down over a pass and come back in 6 hours. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, what is he talking about? Baker Station survived, and I'm really excited that we can go there and welcome the faculty members back onto the campus, talk about the big plans that we have, what we are going to do, and planning and positioning ourselves for success. That is going to be a big push in the oncoming semester. More about that on Friday. Columbia College is set to conduct a safety drill because as we engage in planning, safety is a large component of what we are seeing. And with all the shootings that has happened, unfortunate incidents closer home to Gilroy, we keep wondering about that if something like that happens, how would we protect ourselves? So that has to be at the top of our mind, top of our discussion. There is no way that we can have a 0% risk, but we can always try to mitigate those impact if, lo and behold, those kind of events happen. And we need this entire campus community to get engaged in that, think differently, think with the reality of the times, and see what we can do. That's about it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Okay. Dr. Hoopus.
Mr. Geek, yes. I'll keep my comments for under 45 minutes. First, to start off with, Alan had brought up Chad Red Wing, and I want to, he has some great images of what higher education should be like. And he's been working with Jenny Abbott, and I mentioned last time the board met about working with partnerships with MIT to develop new contextualized interdisciplinary programs with the Levinson MIT Foundation. Since then, we were contacted by the Gates Foundation, and they also want to be part of this partnership to really revolutionize what higher education should look like. And we talked about, a center for teaching and learning, but have it structured around a new generation of how we teach in higher ed. And so I really look forward to what Chad and the faculty develop, and with Jenny's leadership as well, along with what we're getting from MIT and from the Gates Foundation. So, one of the things I've said that we've done a lot of really good work with guided pathways, but that we've done a lot of the easy stuff. And that's, the wraparound services. The critical road that lies ahead is the curricular changes we need to get past a 12% graduation rate. And I know met with all the deans, and they want to know what my vision is. And one of the things I mentioned is that we can't be satisfied in guided pathways from going from 12% to 24%. You can play the math game where it says we've doubled our graduation rate, but the reality is if we go from 12 to 24, we've still failed 76% of our students. And I don't think, we can be satisfied with that level of achievement. We're not dealing with numbers, we're dealing with livelihoods. Students who want to get out of poverty, who want to have a better life. And that first year, we have to be all rowing in the same direction and rowing really hard so that we actually are pulling those students into a higher education environment, something they're totally not familiar with, but they feel welcomed and want to be here and want to finish. It's a lot of heavy lifting, and I think we can do it. but it is going to be a lot of heavy lifting. And I look forward to Chad's leadership and Jenny's leadership, and I think we can do it. I know we can do it. Additionally, we're partnering with the Stanislaus County Workforce Development Office to reestablish on-campus internships for students who are in their last 2 semesters of education. And we're working with Opportunity Stanislaus and several local entrepreneurs to develop an entrepreneurship program that will include mentoring, service learning, and startup weekends where students can pitch and develop their ideas into full proposals. If you're not familiar with startup weekends, they're incredible efforts where in a 3-day period, students, not just from MJC, but for any, Columbia, but Merced, Delta, any college around the area that want to be part of this innovative effort, it really engages them in terms of the idea of entrepreneurship and learning. And so Jenny is leading it too, and so hopefully we'll get that one going soon. The 23rd annual Summer Sonata, thank you all who attended. I think it was a very successful evening. We raised almost $120,000. We had the auctioneer I thought was fantastic, even got me to give money. Like I say, during just that evening alone, we generated $32,000 in support from our guests. And that support goes to student scholarships, emergency grants, and programmatic improvements. Also at the Sonata event, our co-chairs were Stan Hodges and Steve Collins, and we awarded them the first ever Beacon of Hope Award because we want on a yearly basis recognize faculty and staff that really have shown a lifelong dedication and persistence of a service to our students. So I was really happy to present that award to Steve and Stan. Let's see. The Institute Day, Jennifer, you're still here. I can see the top of your head. Yes. Invited Davis Jenkins, who is the co-author for Redesigning America's Community College. It is the seminal book in terms of what community college should look like. And it's one of the things that drives Guided Pathways. So he's coming here to work with our Guided Pathways group, and he will also be the Institute's Day keynote address. So Jennifer, thank you for inviting such an important person to our campus. We're continuing our efforts to increase dual enrollment. We gave a board presentation to Turlock Unified School District, and we had a strategic meeting with Ceres Unified to plan growth and expansion to learners in that service area. In terms of health services, this year, health services will introduce a new service called Pirate Care, and it was created by a telehealth company, Timely MD. We've researched this because there's a growing concern of mental health for our students. Pirate Care will provide our enrolled MJC students with free 24/7 unlimited access to licensed mental health counselors via live audio or video through a mobile phone or computer. This doesn't mean that we're not doing live counseling. That will continue as well, but with our concerns with students who are seeking into depression and suicide, having the availability of 24/7 help, I think is a must. Project Rebound, MJC and Stan State has had a successful search, and there's a joint hire for the director of Project Rebound. That program is to assist our formerly incarcerated students with a focus on increasing their access to college, college readiness, course certification, degree completion, and ease of transfer to CSUs. And lastly, MJC is happy to announce that it was one of the few institutions selected to receive for their work with formerly incarcerated students. The college received just over $100,000 from the State Chancellor's Office to support our existing reentry and success network. And for the next 40 minutes, I'd like to sing. No, that's it. You don't want to hear me sing.
Thank you very much. Chancellor Young.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to begin my remarks by acknowledging the hard work that is going on at both colleges in preparing to start up the semester. So I just join you in saying that I feel excited that we are getting ready for a new school year for our students. The board has authorized us to uh, at least seek input from a consulting company pertaining to the possibility of a future bond. And I just want to let you know that we are still a long ways away from actually making a decision on going out for a bond. But the first step would be to hire a consultant to advise us on the beginning steps, such as the sentiments of the community. We will ask that the polling be done according to district areas. So this desegregation of the data will allow us to more accurately gauge the sentiment of the community. And next, I just want to share you some potential good news. We are trying to get access for the astronomy classes at both MJC and Columbia College to the Goldstone Apple Valley Radio Telescope. Uh, it is operated by NASA, I believe, in collaboration with the Jet Propulsion Lab. The time of using the radio telescope is typically available to four-year institution. And if we could get our foot in the door for both colleges, that would be a great thing for our students here, located in the Central Valley and up there in Sonora, to be able to control the radio telescope scanning the heavens, but 350 miles away in the high desert. So I will give you an update on that in the future. And of course, last but not least, I want to congratulate Dean Mackey and your division for the ribbon cutting and the grand opening of the Great Valley Nature Lab. I believe a lab can augment the learning as it reinforces the learning through experience. So we look forward to great things happening at this new lab that was just opened today. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We are up to 6.8, the bond update. Hi, Judy.
Judy, what is it? What's there? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is. I actually have one, but it's out there and you may not be able to answer it. But if there are significant savings, can any of that be put into the total cost of ownership? As opposed to building something new? Okay, thank you. I'm glad to know that.
Correct.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Judy. Thank you very, very much. And Susan, your staff, and Judy, your staff, thank you.
I appreciate that very much. Okay. So we are next up to our consent items.
I'd like to move that we adopt the consent calendar as listed on the agenda.
Prior to the vote, I'd like to recognize the retirees. Frederick Grove, 3.5 years as telecommunications specialist. Sean Dean, 20 years of service as the district research and planning director. And Lori Slawester, 19 years as the professor of art. And I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a second. Any discussion or anybody want to pull anything? Are we all good? Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, so let me flip pages here. I believe we are up to 8.1. Board special priorities. I need a motion to adopt.
Second.
Tony seconds. All right, all in favor of adopting the Board of Trustees special priorities? Say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. There's a slight revision to the academic calendar. We need a motion, I believe.
Make a motion that the Board of Trustees adopts the updated 2019-2020 academic calendar for Columbia College and Modesto Junior College is attached to the August 14, 2019 agenda.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And before we start board comments. Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to do board comments, and then I have a part 2 of a report out from closed session. So, Savannah, do you have comments?
I do not have any comments other than my mic doesn't work down here.
Oh, there's a lot of that going around. Yeah.
They give you Darren's.
Well, and you know what I've discovered? Even if you have a voice that carries, it's not picked up in the recordings. So every once in a while, I'll go back and look at an old meeting, and you're talking, and I can't hear anything when it's not.
Some people may see that as a blessing.
I didn't. I didn't. Okay, Nancy?
This last month, we had, it was a little bit quieter than some, but we had the board policy meeting, and it was really nice to see so many people from different departments there and giving feedback. And I feel that we were able to get a lot accomplished. And it was exciting today to be at the ribbon cutting for the lab, Nature's Lab outside for the Great Valley Museum. And just look to see it in November, because I'm sure it'll look totally different. And we'll have more animals and things that will enjoy the area. So congratulations. You guys did a great job.
Okay, Tony?
Yes, ma'am.
Now it's off.
There you go. This past month, I met with Chancellor Young. We had a really good discussion about just things and our good work that our two colleges is doing in this area. Also, on Friday, August 9th, I met with the Association of Sandals County School Boards Executive Committee, and I gave a report to them about all the great work that our counselors and everybody's doing with the dual enrollment and all the local high schools, and that was one of the reports to them. And also on Monday, August 12th, I met with the Board Finance Committee wonderful numbers hour, but I really enjoyed it. So, and that's it. Yeah.
Thank you. Anne?
I was able, as Dr. Hoopus mentioned earlier, attend the summer sonata, which is very important, to our foundation, the MJC Foundation. I had the opportunity to meet with Alan McKissick to discuss some things as he's our faculty representative to the board. We had a policy and procedure meeting. I referenced it in the report, and Nancy referenced that. Also this morning, the Great Valley Nature Lab ribbon cutting, and was able to meet with Chancellor Young, and Nancy was with that, so you could add that to her report.
Thank you very much. Abe?
I met with the CSUS President's Advisory Council, which we discussed items such as the WOW program that MJC and Cal State Stanislaus are working together on, transfer student. I had 3 meetings with the chancellor, one on a personal meeting, one with the presentation at Turlock High School on CCAP. And thank you, Jennifer and Patrick, for making that presentation. And had a meeting with the mayor of Turlock along with the chancellor. And then I attended a agenda review and finance committee. And today's great exposure to the science natural outdoor lab.
Thank you. Darren?
So as previously stated, I attended the Finance Committee meeting on August 12th along with Trustees Rojas and Aguilar. I went to the Summer Sonata. I want to thank everybody for attending that and their contribution to the success of our students. Had a great time this morning with the groundbreaking of or the opening of the Great Valley Museum Nature Lab. And that's going to be so great. I mean, everybody's already said it, but thank you to all who participated in that. It's just going to be wonderful. And then, Judy, I just want to let you know that, the first Tuesday of every August every year is National Night Out, and I attended an event, National Night Out, in this area. And my specific goal in going there was to ask how things were going with respect to our neighbors in the community with all the new parking lots that are open. Some people are still not happy, but for the most part, most of the people were happy and could see a difference. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the bond committee and the contractors for making that happen. And thank you again for the crosswalk rehab, because that's another item. So they're going to be very happy to see that. So Judy, thank you for your leadership and working with everybody. It's making a huge difference. So thank you very much. And my last comment, I'm glad you clarified that it was John Dewey, because I thought you said George Dewey, and his only contribution was, "You may fire when ready, Grigley." So thank you very much for that clarification, Al. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. So I attended the board debrief, the summer sonata, which is always wonderful. Agenda preview, the policies and procedures meeting, which was packed, as we said, which is really refreshing. The MJC Foundation meeting. And I also held the what I call the Cheese and Chat casual gathering at Camp 4, just a chance for casual conversation. And I had student, staff, faculty, and community people show up. So that was really fun. I think we went an hour and a half over. And then the ribbon cutting today, and I looked at my little phone today and it said 105 today, and so I was actually glad that I had to get here early. And it was wonderful. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so I was handed the part 2 of the report out from closed session. The board received and reviewed the PERB settlement agreement with YFA. The board approved the MOU with YFA on non-credit adult education English language courses. The board approved the MOU with YFA only on art courses. So those are the other details from closed session. So I think we are done. Right? No more comments? All right. This meeting is adjourned. We will meet next on September 11th. Closed session will begin at 3:30 and open session at 5:30 right here. Thank you very much.
Yes.
You're welcome.